Hi Aries, how are you? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Nina, otherwise known as Sinfulpluto, and today we are doing your March 2020 predictions. This is going to apply to Aries Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. And keep in mind that this is a general reading, so it might not apply to everyone, and that is okay. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest that doesn't. So with that being said, if you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at sinfulpluto.com. If you want to find me on social media, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at sinfulpluto. And like the video, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification to know when I upload my videos. And with that being said, let's get started. So I pulled an oracle card for you, Aries, and I got You Are Not Alone, Isolation, Physical Connection, Community. So it seems that in March, you might be feeling alone, you might be feeling isolated in some way, or even if you are surrounded by a lot of people physically, maybe you feel as though there isn't really a genuine connection with these people. There's just some sort of distance that you have with your community in some sort of way, or it's almost as though even though there's so many people around you, there's still some sort of void that you might be experiencing in however way that might apply to you, Aries. And so with this card in March, Spirit might be encouraging you to go out and find people that you have a genuine connection with. And if you have been finding yourself literally just feeling alone, maybe you don't have a lot of people around you. For example, maybe your parents work all the time, so you're just home alone all the time and you don't really go out much. Maybe social life is somehow lacking. March 2020 might be a really good time to reach out to people, to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And even though it might feel uncomfortable, you might feel a little bit like awkward and weird reaching out to people, trying to make friends, trying to go out and stuff. At the end of the day, it might actually prove to be very helpful for you, and it might actually help you feel a lot more connected to the world, and might help you feel that you're not just alone in this world and that no one understands you. It seems as though March 2020 is kind of a time for you to build connection with people in your real life. For example, if you're someone who is super consumed with the internet, right? We're always on social media. Maybe you have a lot more online friends than you do offline friends. March 2020 presents an opportunity for you to connect with people offline. To go out more, to do things that do not necessarily involve the internet, okay? Even though we have like friends online and stuff, that's great and everything, but we as social beings, as social people, as social creatures, we require a certain amount of like social connection, of physical connection in real life that the internet simply doesn't give us. So that might be something to think about and to consider and to take action towards and to take initiative on for you, Aries. So just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and get started with the tarot. I'll be linking the decks that I use down below if you're interested in checking them out. So let's see. All right, Spirit. So what's going on for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus in March 2020? What's going on for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus in March 2020? Happy birthday, by the way. I know that your birthday, Aries, is more so by the end of the month, but still, happy birthday. All right, Spirit. Going on for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus in the month of March 2020. What does Aries need to know? What's going on for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus? I knew that card was going to come out. Six of Cups. I kept on seeing it while I was shuffling. Six of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. We'll get there in a minute. Okay, we have the Empress. So creativity, fertility, the birth of something new. high sex appeal? I don't know. That's kind of what came through. The Ace of Cups. Ooh, ooh. Okay, 6 of Cups. 3 of Pentacles. Hermit reversed. Page of Cups reversed. And then the Knight of Cups reversed at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so the Knight of Cups reversed at the bottom of the deck kind of is signifying the overall energy of the spread. This basically talks about a level of emotional immaturity, but also a fear of rejection. So that might be something that you find yourself experiencing this month, is a fear of rejection. So maybe that's why you find it challenging to push yourself out of your comfort zone, Aries, when it comes to meeting new people, making friends, collaborating, things like that. Because you just fear the rejection, you fear like being pushed away or ostracized in some sort of way. And it seems as though you might be overthinking a lot with this 4 of Cups reversed. Overthinking everything. 4 of Cups reversed is under the Knight of Cups. Overthinking a lot. Your energy is like really scattered, and it's almost as though you're creating hypothetical scenarios in your head to prevent yourself, to find reasons, to find excuses to not go out and meet new people, to not go out and socialize and like do fun new things, which is really interesting. So here we have the Empress. This is Taurus, Libra, Venus energy. This could be you or it could be someone else. But this to me, this gives me the vibe of like girl next door, but also like high, not like high, but like some sort of sexual appeal or just being very attractive to people. This could be you, Aries, where you have a lot of attractive energy, or a lot of people see that you are very attractive. They're very like enticed by you and by your energy. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sexually or romantically. People just might be really into you. They might see you as like a really beautiful person. The Empress also talks about, again, creativity, fertility, the birth of something new. So this to me seems as though, Aries, that March might be a really great time to begin a new project, or to meet new people, or to like start some sort of new chapter in your life, however that might resonate with you. This is very Venusian energy. I love this. This is beautiful. And with the Ace of Cups, this talks about new beginnings. It might be that you feel a little bit emotionally overwhelmed, but it also seems as though you might feel emotionally overwhelmed by the fact that like you see other people interacting and stuff, and you want to be able to interact with them, but like maybe the thought of like going out and talking to people is what emotionally overwhelms you for whatever reason. Maybe because you've isolated yourself for so long, because we have the Hermit reversed right under that, which talks about over isolation and way too much solitude, and like this challenge in basically reintegrating yourself with society. It's almost like you've become emotionally underdeveloped, or not emotionally underdeveloped, socially underdeveloped, because of this long period of time like not going out or like talking to people. Maybe because you've become dependent or over dependent on your online friends and thinking, oh, well, I have friends online, I don't have to talk to people offline. And so when you find yourself in situations where you literally have to talk to people offline, you might feel a little bit emotionally overwhelmed. You're like, oh my God, like, how do I talk to these people? This is so much harder than it should be, or whatever the case is, right? And I think that's just kind of an exposure sort of thing. Like the longer you do something, or the more you do something, the easier it becomes. Generally the easier it becomes. So it just seems as though that might be an issue. Also with the Ace of Cups, this just talks about how there might be something that you are being encouraged to create, or that you are in the middle of creating, that could be really emotionally fulfilling. I also feel that with the Ace of Cups, you have a lot to offer. You have a lot of emotional, you have a lot of really great emotions to offer. You have a lot of really great characteristics that you can share with the world, and I feel that you want to share it with the world. But it seems as though with the Six of Cups, it's easier to remain in that which is familiar to you, which, you know, I understand that and it makes sense. With the Six of Cups, you know, for some of you, it could be that you were literally just like so enraptured with the internet or with social media, or, you know, you've grown comfortable in your comfort zone of just being on social media all day, talking to your online friends all day, or doing this on the internet, or whatever the case is, right? You've grown accustomed to that routine, and part of you, you know, like, you don't really want to stray away from that. Or maybe you feel that if you have a life offline, then you can't have a life online, and that's not the case. You know, you can have the best of both worlds. It's all a matter of moderation and balance. And so it seems that there's kind of this back and forth of wanting to remain in the familiar, wanting to maybe like stay in your hermit mode, stay in solitude, but then also seeing the potential of like really great friendships, of really great collaborations and teamwork, and just like meeting new people that you get along very well with, and they teach you really great things and you teach them really great things, and it's all that sort of thing, right? Like, it seems very, very good and very healthy. And it could be that there are people who want to be your friend. It could be that people, like, you know, like, maybe they have actually shot their friendship shot with you, right? But maybe you declined them or rejected them, or continuously were like, maybe another time. And then it ultimately just led to them giving up, because it's maybe you never really showed any sort of interest. And so with this Page of Cups reverse, this not only talks about like a little bit of emotional underdevelopment or emotional immaturity in some way. It seems as though it's almost as though you were unwilling, or you were refusing to let go of the past, or to kind of loosen your grip on that for some reason. Or there's just this overall pessimistic outlook about how to like go about this whole like situation, I guess you could say. Or it could also just be this overall sense of like this fear of rejection and not really wanting to go through with that. But it seems that the longer you isolate yourself from the world and the less real world experiences you have, the more likely it is for you to somehow be emotionally underdeveloped in some way, or kind of just like not grow out of certain tendencies that just aren't necessarily the most mature, that aren't necessarily the most helpful for you, if that kind of makes sense. So what can we, see, we at the bottom, at the top here of the deck was the Eight of Swords, right? Which is you feeling helpless, you feeling like a victim, you being complacent. This is complacency, Aries. This is you being complacent in your way of being, you being complacent in your little hermit reversed here, right? Over isolation, too much solitude, not enough time outside, not enough time stimulating yourself, right? It's too much, right? And it seems as though you have come to the conclusion like, oh, like I just can't be with friends with the people in my town. Like, I've had too many bad experiences offline, and people have hurt me so much, and you know, that's okay, right? People, you know, that happens, and you are valid to feel the way that you feel in terms of these friendships that may have hurt you, or may have left you devastated or feeling any sort of way. Like, I get that, absolutely. But at the same time, we also cannot let that dictate our lives. We also cannot let that prevent us from being able to move on, or being able to make new friends and to talk to new people. You know, we can't always place our past experiences on other people and expect them to repeat other people's behaviors, because these are completely different people. These are different individuals, right? So it's almost like we have to at least give people a chance to prove themselves. And maybe you have hesitated to go out of your way to make friends because of that fear of rejection. And, you know, that's valid. That makes sense. Maybe you're just someone who's very timid, Aries, and I get that. I definitely understand that. I'm a very timid person. So it can be a little bit challenging for me to make friends, but I know that it's like, every person, not every person, but you know, we as social creatures, we require a certain amount of socialization, you know, in our real lives. So that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make here. So what advice can I give you about this? What advice can we give Aries about this situation? What advice can we give Aries? Ooh, Queen of Swords reversed at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so the Queen of Swords reversed, Two of Cups, and the Seven of Cups reversed. So, okay. The Queen of Swords reversed can be your energy, Aries, where, you know, maybe you have been betrayed or backstabbed or somehow scorned in the past by people in your life, right? Maybe by past friends or like even like romantic relationships or whatever it is, right? Maybe you have been hurt in some way, like deeply betrayed, and that has something that has kind of like scarred you deeply. Maybe that's something that you have had yet to heal, right? So that could be your energy here of just like having your heart turned to stone, almost turning very ice cold and be like, no, like I'm never gonna let anyone hurt me again. I am never gonna let anyone be in my heart. I'm never gonna allow myself to be vulnerable, because vulnerability is what has led me here. And I don't want to say that like that's not the case, but I just want to make the point that vulnerability or being vulnerable doesn't make you a weak person, you know? People can be really shitty and they take advantage of us for that, but that has nothing to do with it being bad to be vulnerable, you know? They caught us in a spot where maybe we wanted this person's attention in the past, or we wanted their validation, or we thought that they were a really good person. You know, people can be really good tricksters, and maybe that's why you fear getting close to someone else in your real life. Again, maybe having online friends is what helps you, because there's a little bit of a barrier there. So with real life friends, maybe it's just like it's easier to push people away because you don't want to get hurt again. But are you going to be like that for the rest of your life? You know, do you not see this as something that is worth working through within your own self, you know, healing that sort of experience, healing from that trauma, if you will, just like healing from that in general? Do you not find that worth it at all? Is this just like the complete end where it's just like decided, you know, set in stone, ink is dry, like you're no longer going to go out of your way to try to make friends anymore or to talk to people? You know, are you just going to be in your little caved in at home all day? Is that really something that's fulfilling for you? You know, reflect on that here. But anyways, advice that I can give you. So Queen of Swords reverse is your energy. Two of Cups, this talks about a loving and harmonious connection. This to me reads as like Spirit is really encouraging you to make friends. And with the Seven of Cups reverse, this to me kind of reads as you needing to remain grounded throughout situations rather than one, creating hypothetical scenarios based off of past experience. Two, projecting onto these other people that you end up meeting. Remaining present, remaining grounded in reality, not getting so caught up in cloud nine in some sort of way, because maybe that's kind of like a little of a fatal flaw. I don't want to say it like that, but maybe for some of you, friendships have been difficult because maybe you got your hopes really caught, like really your hopes got you had high hopes, right? You had incredibly high hopes, and then they ended up disappointing you, and maybe that's why you tend to push people away now, because you know it just happened so many times or whatever the case is, right? And so with the Seven of Cups reverse, this is saying, you know, it's good to protect yourself to a certain degree, right? You know, don't get so caught up in like the hopes of something, you know, don't let your hopes get so high. Again, remain realistic, remain grounded, and be present in the moment. And I feel that might help you in the whole situation, and in opening yourself up to potentially really great friendships without without just like wearing your heart on your sleeve immediately, or whatever the case is, right? It could be that there's a pattern of like just getting really high hopes very fast and then being very quickly disappointed by something, whether it was something small or something big. But again, just remaining grounded and just taking it slow, perhaps, with these friendships and things like that, and like getting to know people and not projecting onto them, or, you know, not like placing certain like unrealistic expectations on them, things along those lines, you know, not being like nitpicky or anything like that, I think might be really helpful for you, Aries. So that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonates. I hope that this was helpful for you in some way, Aries. Let me know in the comments down below what you have to share, any sort of feedback that you have. I hope that you have a wonderful month, and I will talk